back to Cape Canaveral now. Less than 3 minutes to lift off for the Space Shuttle Atlantis, one of the 3 shuttles left in the NASA fleet. And off comes the gantry, ready for the massive explosion of power which will lift this craft into the sky. Andy Gallagher's there. Andy, there's the gantry coming off. And just tell us what the conditions are like, because it's had to be cancelled, this thing, 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah, we've had 2 weeks of major problems with Atlantis. Hurricane, Tropical Storm Ernesto led to a cancellation, a major lightning strike, and of course problems with the fuel cells and the fuel gauges, but it's all looking like a go now. We've got less than 3 minutes to go. This is, of course, a vital mission for NASA. Its sole purpose will be to continue refurbishing and installing the International Space Station. On board, it's carrying 2 solar arrays, which will help power that International Space Station. Of course, all the astronauts are on board, and we're down to the last couple of minutes now before launch.
And at the launch, of course, you get this massive release of power to shift the thing into the air. And what many people don't realize is a lot of the what looks like smoke at the base of the shuttle will not be smoke at all, it'll be steam, because thousands of tons of water are released onto the launch pad at the moment of ignition to damp down the blast itself and stop it spreading along the launch pad. So what you'll see is a massive explosion of steam as well as the rocket fuel itself. We've got less than a minute now.
That's right. I mean, yeah, once it takes off, it does leave this huge plume of steam, as you said, that stays in the air for a long time afterwards. I'm about 3 miles from Launch Pad 39B, and once the shuttle takes off, the sound will be terrific. You will hear it a couple of minutes after, 30 seconds into takeoff. So we're looking down to the last 30 seconds now for the Atlantis launch. This will be the 116th launch of the remaining shuttle fleet. As you said, there are 3 shuttles left, and they're all due to be retired in 2010. We'll let you listen into the last few seconds of the countdown, and then I'll talk once the shuttle actually launches.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Remain engines up and burning. 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis, opening a new chapter in the completion of the International Space Station for the collaboration of nations in space.
Roll program. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Houston is now controlling. The roll maneuver is underway. Atlantis is heading into a heads-down position on course for a 51.6 degree, 137 by 36 statute mile orbit. Atlantis already 2 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center at an altitude of 2.8 statute miles. Engines now at 72%, beginning to throttle back up as the vehicle passes through the area of maximum dynamic pressure.
Atlantis, Houston, go at throttle up. Copy, go at throttle up.
All 3 liquid-fueled engines are back at full throttle. 1 minute, 20 seconds into the flight. At liftoff, the fully fueled shuttle, boosters and external tank weighed about 4.5 million pounds. It now has burned half of that weight in propellant. Solid rocket boosters are burning 11,000 pounds of propellant every second. Coming up on 1 minute 45 seconds. Standing by for first stage separation of the solid rocket boosters. Atlantis is at an altitude of 129,000 feet, 24 miles in altitude, 25 miles downrange. All 3 engines are still performing as expected. SRB separation and staging confirmed. All 3 electrically producing fuel cells are operating as expected, as are the hydraulic systems, the auxiliary power units.
And the dangerous moments but it
Two
looks as if it got away okay.
On the tail of Atlantis.
Yeah, a successful launch. As I said, 2 weeks of extreme frustration, technical glitches, weather problems, but finally the Space Shuttle Atlantis has launched. It's pretty amazing just how quickly the craft disappears from Cape Canaveral here. Within 2 minutes, you lose sight of it. It reaches speeds of something like 18,000 miles an hour within 8 minutes, so it's gone completely from here. It will, later in the day, dock with the International Space Station, where before it carries out that docking maneuver, it will actually flip over so the International Space Station can take a series of digital photographs of that underbelly to check for any damage to those vital heat shield ceramic tiles. Of course, there have been problems in the past with that and with insulating foam, but NASA does have a backup plan if there are any problems. The astronauts on board can go to the International Space Station, actually get off the Space Shuttle and go onto the International Space Station. And they've also proved with the last shuttle mission that they can carry out repairs now whilst in orbit. But this has been a long time. It's been very frustrating for NASA, but finally the Atlantis has launched, and of course they wanted to carry out another further 15 missions before the shuttle fleet is retired in 2010.
And we're getting pictures here, of course, from the onboard camera looking aft. And this is the camera that on the last ill-fated mission, which picked up the first clues that all was not well.
Yeah, that's why NASA have insisted on carrying out daytime launches since the Columbia disaster of 2003, so that they can utilize those external cameras to watch for any pieces of insulating foam breaking off during launch. That is, of course, what happened during the last launch, although that didn't do any damage. So no night flights since then. They have been talking about them, but after today's launch, they may not need to, because finally they managed to get Atlantis off the ground. No need to reschedule, and they can continue with the space program until the shuttle fleet is retired.
At what stage, Andy, does the main fuel tank come off?
The two rockets, the two external rockets you could see on launch, they were jettisoned about 2 minutes into the launch. They will land in the ocean, be recovered, and can be reused again. The main fuel tank, the red fuel tank you would have seen, that gets jettisoned and then it breaks up in the Earth's atmosphere and doesn't get reused again.
And on board there are 6 astronauts with a crucial mission, because they've really got to use all the time that's available to get the parts up to the International Space Station. And there's a heck of a lot of stuff to be